Whenever we talk about education, our focus almost always goes straight to the students, right? Their journey, their successes, their struggles. But today, in this explainer, we're going to flip the script a little bit and look at the person on the other side of the desk.
And that brings us to this really simple but honestly pretty profound question that just doesn't get asked enough in the big conversations about education. Who's there to help the helpers?
All right, so let's dive right in. Who is helping the helpers? The whole idea here is to shift our focus, just for a moment, from the student to the educator. Because while it makes total sense to center the conversation around students, if we only do that, we end up with a massive blind spot.
And this right here, this really gets to the heart of it. Behind every single student who finally gets that tricky math problem or falls in love with a book, there's a teacher. And that teacher might be facing their own set of challenges, completely out of sight. These are struggles that are often silent, but they are absolutely real.
Okay, so let's actually pull back the curtain on what's been called the hidden weight. We're talking about all the work, all the pressure that piles up long after the students have packed their bags and gone home for the day. This is a fundamental truth for so many educators. The job is not a 9 to 5. That final bell, it doesn't really signal the end of the workday. For a lot of teachers, it's just the beginning of their second shift.
And when you actually break down what that second shift looks like, it's a lot. We're talking hours and hours spent prepping lessons, grading huge stacks of papers, and filling out all the required reports and admin work. But it's also that constant mental load, trying to figure out how to engage every single kid in your class, while at the same time being judged and measured by their results. It's a perfect recipe for what the source calls silent burnout.
But this hidden weight, it's not just about the paperwork and the planning. As we're about to see, there's this huge emotional component to the job that rarely, if ever, gets measured or even talked about. Emotional labor. It sounds kind of clinical, right? But what it describes is something deeply, deeply human. It's basically the work of managing your own feelings to create a positive, stable, and supportive space for everyone else, no matter how you're actually feeling on the inside. For teachers, this isn't just a part of the job, it is the job.
I mean, just stop and think about what this really means. A teacher isn't just teaching a curriculum. They're part counselor, part motivator, part confidant. They are absorbing the anxieties, the stresses, and the joys of dozens of kids, carrying all those little stories around with them. That is a truly immense weight.
And you'd think, okay, technology. That's got to be the solution, right? And yeah, sometimes it really is. Digital tools can make classrooms so much more engaging. But here's the paradox. The constant pressure to learn new software, troubleshoot tech problems, and manage a dozen different online platforms often ends up creating more work, turning a potential friend into an accidental foe.
Okay, so this all sounds pretty heavy. The big question is, what can we actually do about it? Well, the source material frames the solution in a really important way, not as charity, but as a critical investment in all of our futures.
And it really boils down to 3 essential things that teachers truly need. First, tools that actually make their lives easier and lighten the load, not just another thing to learn. Second, real actual support for their mental health. And third, meaningful recognition that goes way beyond a thank you card once a year.
And this is maybe the most important takeaway of all. When we support a teacher, we're not just helping out one person. We are directly investing in the future of every single student they teach. It's a ripple effect, and the impact is just massive.
This might be the simplest but most important reminder of all. We have this idea that teachers are superheroes. We expect them to be endlessly patient, endlessly resilient. But they're not. They're human. They get tired, they struggle, and they deserve the exact same compassion and support they give their students every single day.
And that brings us right back to where we started, with that same essential question. Who's looking after the people who look after everyone else? And it's not just a rhetorical question, right? It's a real challenge. It pushes us to look at our systems and ask, seriously, how can we do a better job of taking care of the people who are shaping our future? Who is looking after them?